Once upon a time, there was a man named Job. He was blameless, a man of integrity. He stayed away from evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He had a lot of wealth and was the richest in that land. Job was the kind of person people admired. Everyone knew that he had everything anyone could want in life. His children used to take turns feasting in each other's house. And after every feast Job made sure to offer a sacrifice on their behalf. For Job thought, "It may be that my children sinned, cursed and disowned God in their hearts." But one day, everything changed. Without warning, disaster struck. Job lost everything, his wealth, his animals, even his children. One by one, messengers came to tell him that his crops had burned, his animals had been taken, and his children were gone. It felt like the world had fallen apart in an instant. Job was left sitting in a heap of ashes, covered in sorrow, with nothing left. Job arose and rented his robe and shaved his head. He fell upon the ground and worshipped. Job said, "Without possessions I came into the world, and without possessions shall I depart. The Lord gave and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." His pain was so deep that even the people around him didn't know how to help. But through it all, Job never sinned or charged God foolishly. When Job's 3 friends heard of all the evil that came upon him, they came to console and to comfort him. Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar were his 3 friends. When they looked from afar off, they scarcely recognized him. They wept loudly, each one tearing his robe. They cast dust over their heads to show their grief. He was so changed by grief and illness that they were speechless. 7 days and nights, they sat quietly with him. None of them said a word to Job, for they saw that his suffering was too great for words. Sometimes, just being there is the best thing we can do for those who are hurting. But after those 7 days, Job's friends began to speak. They told him that surely, he must have done something wrong for all of this to happen. Maybe he had sinned, and this was his punishment. Each friend took turns suggesting what Job must have done to deserve this. They believed that suffering was always a result of sin. But Job couldn't understand. Job listened to his friends, but he disagreed. But even in his pain, Job never stopped believing in God. He still trusted that there was more to this story. In some verses of chapter 14 Job highlighted, "Man who is born of woman has few days which are full of trouble. God knows how many months each person will live, and no one is given a minute longer. Since our days are determined by God, He has made limits that cannot be passed." At one point, after Job had spoken many things answering his friends, God asked Job a profound question. God asked, "Where were you when I created the world?" God reminded Job that there are many things we can't understand. Job realized that God's greatness is far beyond what he had imagined. Like Job, many of us have underestimated the greatness of God by thinking that He is simply like us. And yet He is the God who created all and sustains all. He is all in all. In Jesus all things are holding together. Job understood that his understanding was limited. He didn't need to have all the answers, and it was okay to trust in God's plan. Job said to the Lord, "I know that you can do anything, and no one can stop you." You asked, "Who is this that questions my wisdom with such ignorance?" It is I, and I was talking about things I knew nothing about, things far too wonderful for me. Job repented. In the end, God restored everything Job had lost, his health, his wealth, and even his family. Job was blessed with even more than he had before. His friends, who had questioned him, were forgiven. Job's story is a reminder that even in our darkest moments, we're not alone. The story of Job teaches us many things. Among them is that suffering isn't always because of something we did wrong. Sometimes, we don't have all the answers. We also noticed that before Job faced the crisis, he was blameless and a man of integrity. He practiced his faith in God before trouble came. Just like how soldiers train while there is no war, in the same way we practice walking in Jesus before trouble comes. This will help us to remain grounded in the Lord when storms come. Concerning Job's friends, we must not judge others when they go through crisis. Sometimes we don't know the reason why they are going through what they are going through. We also learnt that God fully restores.